Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And my buddy Puccini is down here on the desk, kind of sleeping, so I'm going to move the camera, I hope I don't make you dizzy, down to where he is. He's been kind of asleep down here with me and I'm going to have to evict him for the rest of the video. So I have a fun card for you today. I am doing, as promised, a masculine card. So this is my September masculine card. And the inspiration for this card came from a swap from some of the demonstrators that I meet with in Denver. And I have an agreement with them that we go there to get ideas, and I do a video on some of the ideas that I get there and then try to give those people credit. So I'll make sure that credit goes to the demonstrator that created this particular card. So let's just get started. Okay, here is the inspiration card. And it is just so plain and so pretty. I mean, simple, but very striking, I think. All done in browns with some of that designer series paper that is called, let me get it out here so I can tell you. It is called Woven Textures 12 by 12 designer series paper, and I think it's still available online. And it's got all of these basket weave patterns on it. And they're very, very attractive. And I just love the simplicity of this card. So I'm using a couple of current products and a couple of retired products. We had a 3D embossing folder for a while. It was out in 3/25/25, so earlier this year. And it's called Mini Corrugated 3D Embossing Folder. And so it uses that and a happy birthday. Any happy birthday will do. This one is with this die that comes from this die set, which is an older one, Stylish Shapes dies, and I don't have a date on that one, but it has all of these inverse little stitch detail, and it's really kind of a fun little card because because it puts stitch marks on the inside and the outside, so you could cut out the image and still have the stitches around it, which is kind of fun because then you could put something else behind it. But this is what we'll be using, and what you need to make this card is we have a card base here that, this is the pile I want. Okay, so we have a card base here that is regular A2 size, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And I'll give this one a burnish. And then we have a layer of basic beige, and this layer is 4 by 5 1/4. And then we have a little bit smaller piece, this one, out of crumb cake that is 3 3/4 by 5, and that's the one we want to run through the embossing folder. So the 3 3/4 by 5 already run through the embossing folder to save a little bit of time, and then this front is constructed this way, so like this, and then with a circle punched out, and I'm pretty sure that's a 2-inch circle, we'll have to check it just to make sure. And then the inside of the card has another piece of crumb cake that's 4 by 5 1/4, and another piece of basic beige that is 3 3/4 by 5. Now, I've deviated only slightly from this sample, and I decided that I wanted some additional texture on here in the way of something for the inside. Now this one had a customized piece on the inside with a different stamping done on that, and I've decided that I am doing 3/8 inch strips on the inside of this pretty paper, so it brings the outside a bit to the inside. And then I have made this little tail, which is a whole bunch of linen thread that has been frayed at the bottoms, and I think that will end up being very attractive, putting here and then following up with some more of that linen thread on either side of this piece on the inside piece. And so that's where I've deviated, and I've put happy birthday on the outside, and we'll look for a stamp for the inside that adds a little additional message. But I just thought it was so cute, and so this is what we're going to do. So I have my Sweet Petunia glue gun here. Okay, so I have my basic beige piece here that is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to attach that to the front of the card. We might as well get our layers down. And you know, one of the things that's very nice about this card is the multiple layers. I think that adds so much richness to a card. Straight would be good. So I will move this one around just a hair to get it more straight on the card. Then on the top of that one, and I'll put my inspiration card right up here so we can kind of keep an eye on what we're doing here. The corrugated piece, which is going to take probably a little bit more glue than you might ordinarily put because there's so much dimension on this card. I'm just going to kind of cover it with glue and put that on place on my card. And the nice thing about the wet glue is it gives you a minute to kind of wiggle things around and make sure they're on here the way you want them. And so there we go. And we'll just push that into place. Okay, the next thing that doesn't change is this piece. And this looks to be centered on here. And again, it's going on a piece that has quite a bit of texture, so I'm going to add lots of glue to the back of that one. And that seems to be put on here just a tiny bit above center. So there we go, a little bit above center. And then this piece would go on next. And this is where I thought I might add some of that linen thread. So I think I want 2 pieces of linen thread along this edge, and this piece is right at 4 inches, so we need this thread to be about 4.5 inches to do what we want to do. So what I'm trying to do, I'll move this up a little bit so you can see. I think you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm measuring about 4.5 inches of this, and it's doubled. And I'm going to snip that off and then attach this to this piece. So this one may end up going up on dimensionals in order to accommodate the thread. So I'm going to use some Scotch tape to anchor this to the back side of the card. And so there's my piece of Scotch tape anchoring that. Then I'm going to straighten out these threads and come right down the side of this piece of Designer Series paper like this, and then fold it around to the back side here and add another little piece of tape to hold that in place. Now the other pieces that goes over the top will also help hold this piece in place. But there's the tape, and now we've got that piece with the texture on it now. This piece is going to go on here right about there, and I think we will put that up on dimension. And so that piece is going to go right about here, just a little bit up from center. Okay, so the next thing I did was cut this circle using my 2 3/8 inch punch. I kept all of my circle punches, even though Stampin' Up! Retired some of them. And you could do that a little bit bigger, or you could find a die that's roughly the same. The die that's in the set that I used for the banner also has some stitched circles. And their stitched circles, there was one that came real close out of that same die set, which again is called Stylish Shapes. And this one would put that stitch detail around there, but it'd be slightly larger than that particular circle. So I used my punch and 2 3/8 inch. Use what you have. You know, there's obviously stuff around that you can do that's a little bit different. So on this one, in order to make this work, I'm going to put some glue. Let's see, I want that pattern to be that way. So I need to put some glue on this end. And then I need to put a dimensional on this end because it's going to hang off the edge. Okay, so getting that release paper off of there, I can put that down into place right down here. So it's showing a little bit of this brown colored paper here and here. And this, by the way, is, I think, pecan pie. So basic beige, crumb cake, pecan pie, and then the 2 pieces of Designer Series paper. And I want that circle to lay down. Doesn't look like there's a little bit of glue right in there. So I'll add that. And there we go. Now then, I'm going to put my happy birthday, and I've got a couple different versions of it. Not exactly the one she used. I've got that happy birthday, and I have this happy birthday. And let me get my little piece of basic beige here to go on here and see when I cut this die what's going to really fit. So I'm thinking that I may have to use this little bit smaller one because this die, I suppose I could use a different die. Looks like that would barely work. I've got another one here. That's a little tiny bit wider, but it's more oval. And I think I like the angles on this one a little bit better. So I think we'll use the smaller happy birthday. And with this, we're using the early Espresso ink. Happy fall, by the way. kind of fun to have the evenings a little bit cooler and have the days not quite so hot. So I'm going to put my happy birthday on here and cut that out with my die shape out. Okay, there's my happy birthday. Now, as I look at this, I'm a little happier with her chunkier happy birthday, but since I don't have that chunky happy birthday, I'm going to just do with what I do have. And I'm going to put some glue on the back of this because we've already got one set of dimensionals on here. I don't think I want to make this any taller. If this has to go through the mail, it's going to be challenging enough. So I am going to put my happy birthday so that it's right over the edge of that dark basket pattern and that it comes all the way across this circle right in the center. Then I have these embellishments, and these are kind of a deep bronze color. These were called neutral adhesive back sequins, and I really like them. And I think I'm going to use these darker ones. Now she used something that was almost well, it's raised, whatever it is, but I can use ones that are a little bit bigger because my sentiment isn't quite so big and chunky. So I can put one there, and she just put two there, but I think I'm going to add three, all roughly the same size. And we'll put one right in here, and I'm going to see if I can get away with one of these medium-sized ones down here on the corrugated. See if I can get it to stay put and stick. When in doubt, you can always put down a little piece of glue. That works. Okay, so there we are. Now then, the other piece I had to add some more texture with this was to put this down, and that I'm putting on a little piece of glue dot. So I'm going to get a fairly chunky sized piece of glue dot here and put that into place right between and underneath the happy birthday, but between the circle and the other linen thread. I think that'll add a little cohesiveness to it. So I'm going to burnish that in place and then take off that release paper and add this little piece right on here. Now this is one of those places where you can spend a lot of time, if you choose to, trying to fray these pieces of linen thread by just taking a pokey tool and pulling apart the ends. You can take as much or as little time with that as you want. You might want them shorter. I think that's okay. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do then is to complete the inside of my card. And I have my piece of crumb cake that is 4 by 5 1/4, which I will add some wet glue to and put that into place. And there we go. And then I have my basic beige piece that's going to go on top of there. Oh dear, I just realized I didn't put my string on there first. So I'm going to grab another piece of basic beige and do that. So I'm going to take some more of this linen thread. First of all, I'm going to put this piece along the bottom. So I'm going to add some glue to this. Do what I say, not what I do. Okay, there we go. And we're going to put this is going to go a little bit beyond this basic beige piece, but I think that's just fine. I'm going to put it right down here towards the bottom, hanging off a little bit on both sides. And then I will add my thread. I'm changing my mind as I look at this. I'm going to do it the way I said. So I'm going to put some tape on the back side of this one to hold the first piece down. And you're welcome to cut yours and do it however you choose. But I'm going to add some tape down on this one. If you want to conserve some of this thread, then what you'll do is come back across and come over the top of this other piece of designer series paper, and then add just another little piece of tape on the back to hold both of those in place, and then give your thread a little cut. And there we go. We've got that so that we've got a little bit of thread on either side. Now I'm going to put the glue on this one. When that other one dries, I'll just go back and add the thread and then re-glue it. But this gets us exactly what I want. And I think it adds just a little bit more interest to the card to have those pieces on there. I have just cut out of a 3/4 of an inch punch this little circle to mimic what we've got going on in the front, and that's going to help hold down my thread. So I'm going to add some glue to the back of this. And put that in place right in here. I'll hold that in place till it gets a good grip. This piece will look better if it's trimmed a little bit closer to the card edge. So I'm going to do this. So design on the fly, what can I say? You do it till it looks right. There we go. And then I'm also going to take a couple of these smaller brass looking sequins, and I'm going to add them up here to the top. So I fussied this one up just a little, but I think it adds to what we're looking at here. And so we've got this as the outside of our card that just says happy birthday, and then on the inside of the cards we've added the string here, this little bunch of linen thread down here, and that might look a little bit better if it was a little shorter. You decide what you want to do. And on the inside I've added some of those sequins, this little piece of designer paper, a little bit of thread, and then a small circle to bring the outside to the inside. So that is how I have changed the card that was given me, which I think is just brilliant. And it's great fun to be able to take something like that, put your own spin on it, and create a card. And I think it's a lovely masculine card. So that is our masculine card for September. And I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll give it a try. And let's see, the new fall catalog I think is now live. And so there's all kinds of stuff for Christmas. And if you haven't gotten a catalog and you'd like to get one, put a note under this video and I'm happy to send one to you. So If you don't already have a demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And this is my effort for today's video. I will be back soon with more cards, more tips, and more projects. And I'm getting ready to start doing some of my Christmas card catalogs and a couple of fall ones. So see you soon. Bye.